Still echoing. Or not echoing.
The stream started with you going, like, I accidentally hit the broadcast. Now I'm. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Kaiser Gaming, and welcome to another battle here in the Noob Cup 3 SummerSlam. I am once again joined by Hiram of Tyre, and Hiram, I'm not going to ask you how you're doing. I know how you're doing. You're doing the same way I'm doing. You're excited to get back into some Noob Cup action. So what I actually want to do is just dive right into the battle here. We have a really fantastic match. I-Knights versus Stat. Share with me your opinions, buddy.
Okay, so Stat we've already seen in the tournament. I-Knights we haven't. I haven't seen him play in a long time, so I've got no idea what I'm looking at as far as the players go. As far as the Civ picks and on the match, I gotta say this is one of the ones where if the players could see, if Fog of War was disabled for them, I bet both of them would be scratching their heads and trying to figure out exactly how they're going to play this. So I look forward to seeing what they decide to do.
So I have been so eager to run into this match, or to see how this battle will play out, because like I said in my last cast, we've seen that Statistic has been practicing for the tournament. And I don't know that every Noob Cup contestant has. But Statistic, I've seen him been putting in the work. He's been practicing. I've seen I-Knights putting in the work and practicing. And I am just really eager to watch this battle between two Noob Cup players who we know are both putting in the work to try to put on the best show that they possibly can here in the tournament. So I think this is going to be a blast. For Stat, he is guaranteed to make his way into the qualifiers, but the question is how good of a position can he get on the ladder? For I-Knights, there is that question of, will you actually... Ooh, wait a minute. We're watching a little bit of a dance here with the scout.
Yep, I'm watching the same thing.
An amazing move there, by the way, for Stat, saving that scout from going down. Good job. I actually really like the opening of both of these players, by the way, too. They clearly have been taking notes. Starting off with 7 on food, then 4 or 5 on wood. It's really, really, really good.
What I'm wanting to see is if Hunt gets stolen. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that hasn't been prohibited by the rules of the game.
No, that's not been prohibited, not at all.
That's what I thought. So,
boom. So
yep.
they're all stolen. They're all stolen back. I may be just a hair ahead of you. Just FYI.
Nope. I'm watching. Statistic is dancing around iKnight's town center trying to steal his Hunt. And iKnight's is doing the same thing.
Oh my goodness! iKnight's actually gets the steal. Now that scout, he's gonna be bringing him back, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I actually love the most about what we're seeing here? While all of this action is taking place, they are continuing to produce out of their town centers. There's that focus on keeping the economies rolling. I love that.
Yep, a little extra idle TC time for iKnights versus Statistic, which, you know, especially at this level, I'd expect to see. But given the Huns are just easier to keep going slightly.
Yeah, I find... So the Lithuanians, let's talk about those civ picks a little bit. The Lithuanians start the game with an extra 100 food. They have a very smooth opening, especially if you practice some kind of scout rush or something, and I'm really curious to see what iKnights brings to the table here. Stat is doing just a little bit better on his idle TC time. Literally, we see that there's a 2 vil difference. Every vil takes 30 seconds to produce, so that sort of matches up with what we see the idle TC time down here. A minute 30 versus 40 seconds. So I think a slightly stronger eco early on here for Stat. The Huns, you know, we talked about last night how they might be, or the other night, they might be one of the most OP civs for the Noob Cup. I think that they, not needing to produce houses should be an amazing bonus.
Right, especially in a map like this where wood is so limited. That's a joke.
Yeah.
I noticed both their scouts are just kind of parked. As I say that, they begin to move. But you're watching that tunnel, trying to make sure that nobody steals their Hunt, which is not a bad idea. Oh, here we go. Okay, Stat doesn't steal a Hunt, but he does deny a Hunt. Nicely done.
What are you looking at there? What time are you on?
8:33 right now.
Oh, see, I'm at 9:20. Yeah, I'm a little ahead of you.
Okay. I'm going to sync up with you really quickly.
Thanks,
You're
I
on
appreciate
single speed right now.
Yep, I am back to single speed. I think I started accidentally on double speed for just a little bit.
That would do it.
Now, one thing for iKnights. I want to be giving advice and tips for our contestants in the event that either or both of them go on later on into the tournament. iKnights, the one thing that I am seeing that he definitely needs to be doing is taking advantage of the rhinos here. There's a lot of food in each rhinoceros, or maybe elephant, or boar, or whatever. And it's some of the fastest collecting food, too. So there's a lot of food you're leaving on the table, which Stat has collected. And so I think we actually will see, if we look at the resources collected, Stat has 400 more resources total collected. And I think
also
that's...
built.
Say what?
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, I was just saying that I think that is the difference between collecting the rhinos and not.
And I wanna chime in on that really quickly. Stat is built, for instance, to militia, and that little bit of extra food speed by going for the rhinos is, lets you get a military on the field just that much faster. He's built military, and he's not behind it.
Now, on the flip side, let me kind of make the counterpoint. Each of those militia costs 50 food. So together, that's 100 food he put into his barracks, which means that he is slower on the way up to the feudal age. iKnights is actually halfway up to feudal at the 12-minute mark. That's a really good timing, especially
It
at Noob Cup levels. I think we might actually see a scout rush. Dude, he's putting down a barracks, like timing it right before going up. He's going to scout rush.
Yeah, I predict to see a scout. I predict a scout rush as well. And 3 scouts will handily take care of the 2 militia and what's left of Stats scout. Yeah, the downside to a scout rush on this map is that there's just only so far you can go. It's pretty easy to harry a person out of your base with a couple spearmen because it's just hard for the scouts to stay in and doing damage.
I do tend to agree that the more
militia
open the
for
map, the better scout rushes tend to be. And this looks a little claustrophobic, so we could see a world where the scouts have a hard time running around.
Yep.
Now
they're both up.
Where he's
They're
run
both
into
up
an
to
issue.
feudal.
I am predicting Ionites wanted to go scouts. The issue that he has right now is that he's built so many farms. He's got, let's see, 9 farms. Each of those cost 60 wood. And consequently, he did not have enough wood to actually build a stable. So he's a little delayed. Stat is now up to the feudal age. But let's see.
I think you're right.
There it is, though.
No, it's a second barracks. No, I take that back. No, you're right.
It's a stable. It's a stable. No, we will see a scout rush. I will eat my hat if we don't see a scout rush coming from Ionites here.
I was thrown by the capture age construction icon of a military building. No, I agree with you. I think that's exactly what was going on, and it's hard. You're
balancing that is
tricky to get.
Yeah, figuring out
Trying to get
exactly
villagers out and-
how many farms and how many do I put on wood and everything. That takes time and experience. You can't expect that. I am loving the killer instinct and the intentionality and the study that Ionites is bringing into this battle. This is really exciting. Now, on the flip side, again, Stat has a resource collection bonus that is continuing to grow here. He's got over 1,000 more resources collected.
That's correct.
And I'm concerned that if Ionites does not find damage with this, 5 scouts coming out.
5 scouts, yeah.
If he does not find damage, I think Stat is set up to win this match.
I think you're right, but 5 scouts, if Stat does not respond to that in time, could be devastating. Having said that, even if he gets 5 villagers, 6 villagers with those 5 scouts, it's going to be a tricky trade. It's going to be about how much with how much.
Ooh, and I think we might be seeing a mistake here. Yeah, good. Ionites needs to pull back and mass up his scouts. He has to hit at once. Don't trickle in your scouts one at a time. That could be a very bad situation.
And Stat saw he upgraded to Man at Arms, which is now hit. And having seen the extra scout, he knows. My guess is he knows what's coming. He's just queued up several spearmen, and bringing in that scout when he did could be pretty detrimental to the rush itself because now it's not going to land unexpected.
I think the combination of the Men-at-Arms upgrade and the infantry armor coming in, those 2 things together, mean that the scouts should no longer take a direct fight against the infantry.
Now, if you're Ionites in this period, you probably either wave off the scouts or go right now before there's a time to account.
Exactly. He won't do that, though. He's got 3 more scouts coming out, and I think what he's going to do is wait until he has 6 scouts total and then get them all out.
Both players, Ionites is getting it now, and Stat already has, are getting wheelbarrow. And I love it. I love it.
I love you guys. I love you. That is so good. If anything, if I wanted to be really nitpicky, I might say it's even a little bit too early. I'd say maybe, waiting until about 16 farms before getting wheelbarrow. But frankly, I don't really care about that. It's about remembering to pick up those techs. And,
exactly.
Yeah, both players picking up their logging techs, the farm techs, the wheelbarrow. So good. So good.
I love it so much.
Now the big issue, like we've said, I mean the resource advantage is continuing to grow for our Hun player, and I think the secret sauce there is the idle TC time. 5 minutes in climbing for Ionites means that there are fewer villagers on the field, which means fewer resources collected. this is giving Stat an advantage that if iKnights does not find damage now, think about all of the food he could have put into Bills, he's instead put into these scouts that are right now sitting there.
Yeah.
And he needs to go and find damage.
Yeah.
But he's not doing that.
It's a tricky thing because, in the beginning, what we were saying was, he needs to hold back and wait till he gets that mass. And so there's the feeling of you don't want to trickle your army in. At the same time, once you're no longer building your army, you need to get what you can with what you have, which apparently decided to do.
Something else I maybe want to highlight, as we might have some scout action coming in a bit here. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm going to chat about this. One thing that I think most of our Noob Cup competitors are going to be confused about is how many farms should I build in the early game? And I think that Stat has the right idea where, especially if you're going to go cavalry or infantry, a lot of food requirements there. I'd say you probably want anywhere from like 7 to 10 villagers on wood, and then you want to try to get up to 17 to 19 farms. The reason why is because wood. Oh my goodness! Wait, do we have?
Oh,
no, don't
look
attack
at
that! No! Don't attack the spearmen! No! I feel your pain, iKnights. I would be surprised if he did that on purpose.
No, probably not. It was kind of a clever move, sending them off the beaten path. If you had set them to no attack, then it's possible that they would have proceeded in, get whittled down by the... Yep.
Those scouts saw the infantry and thought, oh, here's something cool, let's attack this.
Hey, look! Sticks!
Yeah. And now, this watchtower. I did love the idea of the watchtower defending the choke point, but man, you should throw down some walls or a gate or something to... Actually, I don't know, can you build on that?
I don't know if you can. You can clearly build a watchtower.
Yeah, you can build a watchtower. So yeah,
you
throw on the farm, the walls, and block that up. Yeah.
Now you could still defend. You just need to. Oh, he's trickling them into garrison.
And the thing, I'm not sure if he realizes that you can't. The tower will not shoot at its feet without the without the murder holes upgrading the castle age. Having said that, I do like the decisiveness of saying, all right, I need infantry to deal with these pikes. I can't go cavalry.
Yep. And getting them out right now.
Yeah.
Militia are not going to be an even counter to pikes, but they're gonna do something.
He doesn't have the techs, and now he's picking up the men-at-arms upgrade after the infantry have died. It's it's tough.
It's tough.
And I think we definitely see. Oh, wait a minute. If Stat does not pay attention. Oh, yes. What a good move here. What a great move by iKnights. I think that this push has lost a lot of its fervor. That is what iKnights so desperately needed. Good.
And with his own men-at-arms on the field, he's gonna lose. Again, men-at-arms on the field. Yeah.
Another tip for iKnights here, if he comes back and watches this replay later. Instead of ringing the town bell and bringing all of your villagers to the TC, including a lot that were just standing there doing nothing, you can select a bunch of them, hold the Alt button, and just right-click the TC. And that way you can keep half your economy working and still bringing in resources, and the other half will shoot the arrows and do the damage, right? Gutsy to have your scouts going on offense, but I actually don't mind that. I think he's clearly just running away.
Pikes. Yeah, especially with the pikes being as low as they are, if they turn around and decide to fight.
He pulls the scouts back at the exact moment Stat wants to engage. That was cool. That was really cool.
Micro. I love it.
Yeah, that was nice. Resources.
If he had retained, yeah.
No, I'm loving what we're seeing so far. Both players are really showing their mettle. It's so cool. But I can't ignore the resource situation. This game is won or lost on economy and logistics more often than not. And while the population doesn't look that different, Stat is in the Imperial Age, not Imperial, he's in Castle Age. He's got like 5,000 more resources collected. And he's picking up Castle Age upgrades. Meanwhile, Knight's nowhere near. He is nowhere near reaching Castle. So, what I would love to see from Stat, my advice to him right now, is if you're not putting out Army, and I see he's thrown down a couple of archery ranges, that's a pretty cool idea. If you're not putting down Army, then he should try to get another town center.
Yeah, definitely.
Just expand that eco advantage.
My guess is both players were sucked into kind of the micro of that engagement, which is totally understandable. I don't know if Knights realizes he can put a lumber camp right next to the wood. He's building only on his island, with the exception of that watchtower.
He's called a logical human being, and who looks at this and thinks, oh yeah, I can put a lumber camp on the water over here, it'll be fine. But,
yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, I would be tempted to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Just on instinct, I know better because of the map, but still, if you look at it, even you a second ago are like, wait a minute, can he even put a gate there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's just one of those things. So, not knocking Knights by any stretch of any imagination. It's just, it's hurting his ego, and it's hard.
Now, let me give Stat some advice if he comes back and watches this. What I'm looking at right now, again, I've been praising the economy, and I think his ego spread has been a lot better. But if you look at your banked resources, you have 1,300 food just sitting there. And apparently, you're going into an archer composition, right? So, think about, what do archers cost? Wood and gold. Those are the resources you want. So you want to try to find a way to translate and convert that food into wood and gold to get out more army, right? So that would be where you either get another town center so you can pump out more villagers who can then go on to wood and gold, or maybe get out of market, sell some food, buy some gold, buy some wood. You can mobilize your economy even more effectively than you already have.
I love that Stat built a monk to take care of that relic.
I do too.
Little things.
The little things, they matter. And actually, well, I was going to say, is that the only relic on the map? Because I think that would initiate a wonder victory, or a relic victory. But no, there is one relic. Two relics. Three. There are three relics to
For
the
a Lithuanian
east.
player, this is definitely a map attack against the Lithuanians. It's you never know. You just never know, and it's more often than not, it's not so bad as this. But my heart goes out to the Lithuanian player who cannot collect those relics without significant work.
I went back to our last, actually the very first Noob Cup game where Knights played, and I kind of wanted to get a sense of how he played then. And what I noticed is Knights is a really big fan of mixing in different types of units, some scouts, some infantry, some archers. And I'm seeing here, even though I think he's playing much better in this go-round, I see that he was kind of doing the same thing. And that might be another bit of advice, is I'd say, try to focus in on like one key unit, like archers or knights or infantry, and then come up with a good, maybe a counter unit. So like one or two units. Don't spread it out too much.
My way, what I would say is you pick one main unit and you pick one backup.
Yeah.
You got your main dancers and you get your backup dancers.
Right.
So.
I love the aggressive play here by Stat, getting out of Castle. And this is going to hurt. I mean, he's going to shut down some of the farms, the gold, the stone. Honestly, Knights is kind of up a creek without a paddle here.
Yeah, there's not much he can do with what he has. Although, I've seen players just sheer tenacity stick it out. He's going skirms, which is the right play. Skirms will counter both the archers and the pikemen, so that's definitely good.
Skirms are the
he's got food, and wood to do it. So, but at the same time, we see another castle coming in, and this one ranges his TC. It's gonna be tricky to come back from that.
I think the shame of it, because we do see Knights now going into archers, So just FYI, the skirmishers, they counter the archers, so the crossbows, but they also counter spearmen. So skirmishers are a really good unit, and especially in the situation iKnights finds himself in, where you know there's plenty of wood, and you can try to get food too from your farms, but you don't have a lot of gold. It's not collected from back here. If you just have food and wood, skirmishers are your unit. A monastery comes up. I do like the idea of the monastery.
I do too, and a castle of his own.
Yeah, a defensive castle's nice. Yep.
Now, and I don't know if he realizes that or not. I don't know if he has the range indicators on or not. But that castle, it's threatening his TC, obviously, but he could have most of his farms out and working pretty safely. Not a big deal. It does take away his front gold and his stone, but he does have a backup gold, and he does have the ability to build another TC. So, and the resources, although, yep. So, he could, if he pivoted quickly enough, he could go get something in to try to get back on his legs. That's going imp, so that's not
I think we're going to see Stat go imp into trebuchets into GG here. I don't know
Probably,
that... I mean, if you look at iKnight's bank, he just has no resources at this point. He's struggling to, you know, he's building a lot of defenses here, hoping they'll hold, but I'll be surprised if Stat can't close it out fast here. So, as we're maybe in the final stages of this match, I predict, what is the advice that maybe these two competitors should get, you know, having watched this battle? What do you think?
Gosh, that's hard to say because, you know, there's obviously little things. There's obviously, you know, there's 1,000 elo advice. There's get good level of advice. Obviously, iKnights, if he could have done his hunt a little better, that would have transitioned or meant a much healthier transition into that scout rush. But I think the big thing is both players kind of got sucked into the micro of the fight that's in front of them and forgot what was going on back at home. And so even if it just means using the hotkey and making sure your eco is going, don't get sucked into what's in front of you and miss what's going on back at home.
Yeah. In my opinion, with iKnights, there's a couple of things. You mentioned the hunt, like making sure you're picking up your rhinos. I think that would help a lot. So that's something to maybe put some practice in on. I adore the idea of the scout rush and the scout open. That was really good. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to put those resources into early military like that, then you need to try to actually find damage with it quickly. You want to translate that military momentum into an eco lead. Otherwise, just sit back, play economy. Probably the big thing, I think the number that tells the story here and why Stat is winning is just the idle TC time, right?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Remembering to keep your town center going and producing more vills so that you're not, I don't know right now, like, the numbers are just not there. But even earlier, you know, the small vill lead became a larger vill lead, became a larger vill lead, and that gave Stat an eco edge that allowed him to win this out. So there are a couple of things iKnights can do here differently, but I really loved his gumption. I love the moxie that he brought to this. Stat's kind of...
one of the...
Okay, go ahead.
One of the things that I run into, again, this is the homeschooler who I grew up on Black Forest, and what everyone's afraid of is fighting early. They want to sit behind 3 tiers of walls and build their base and set up their system, and then when everything's good and go, then they want to go out. So I just love it when a noob decides, you know what I'm going to open up with? I'm going to open up with a punch.
Yeah, and that's what, yeah. You are going to learn so much more. You're going to learn so much more, and you're going to grow so much faster as an AoE player by playing aggressively, by thinking about how can I throw a punch faster, how can I throw a punch, you know, that hits harder. I love it a lot, and I think both players sort of had kind of an edge to them. I'll give iKnights kudos for, I think, maybe even being more killer instinct minded, at least with the idea of a scout rush than Stat. You just need to go in with those scouts and actually find the damage.
And it was, for a moment, it was turning on that razor. You know, if Stat had managed to move his army by without pulling in the stack of scouts, and if the scouts had moved into Stat space afterwards, we could be looking at a different. Things turn quickly. So, props to both players. I loved the individual flavors of aggression they both did.
We've got General Brandito back over on YouTube. Hey, man, saying, I-Knights, he's a quote, I-Knights is done, not enough economy to produce military. Yeah, I agree with that exactly. He says, throw jab after jab. Yeah, getting that momentum going and that aggression is exactly what you need in order to succeed there. For Stat, I think it's the other way around. He's got the opposite problem where, and I think a better problem to have, where he's doing such a great job building up the eco. I gotta say, at the 40-minute mark, the fact that Stat has 3.5 minutes of idle TC time is awesome. That's like really, really, really good. So I see him producing units, getting technologies, and keeping his town center going. So it's really impressive. What he needs to be aware of, I think there's a vulnerability for him where he could get all of these resources and not spend them, and not have the enough production buildings to quickly turn those resources into military strength. And he might actually get beat by somebody who has a weaker economy, but is actually able to throw a stronger punch. So I think that would be maybe the main thing he should be improving on as he moves on into the quarterfinals for sure, taking the #1 spot from these qualifiers. So, as far as the qualifiers go, there's one more battle to take place, I-Knights versus Blappy. We're going to see that, I imagine, sometime in the nearest future. But we are not done casting yet, because we actually have our very first quarterfinal. That's a best-of-3 battle. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So, Hiram, you ready?
I'm not quite ready. I'm in the middle of setting that up now. So if you'll give me just a second, tell them that joke and I'm going to set up my game to cast the next. You do know one, yes?
2 peanuts walked down crime alley. One of them was assaulted.
That's not the joke but okay.
That is like the joke I know. I know one joke, and it's the salted peanut joke. Alright. Let's see. Let's update the scoreboard just a second here. This is quarterfinal 1. Our first quarterfinal best-of-3 battle. Return to the map. Between 2 opinionated in the teal versus Nico Kitty Cat in the red. Oh, I cannot wait. Let me ask chat here as we get started. I'm waiting on my buddy Hiram to kind of load up and be ready. But who do you think is you're not talking about the players. We don't really know their skill. The thing that's fun about this, both of these players are brand new to Noob Cup. So I am really excited to see what they are bringing to the table, what they've been practicing or not practicing or whatever. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Turks versus Japanese. Kalimitar, do you want to share an opinion on Turks versus Japanese? What do you think?
Depends on the skill.
Depends on the skill. Turks, Japanese.
What a way.
Sid
cop out.
Yeah, Sid pick makes no difference. It does depend on the skill. She's not wrong.
Oh, she's not wrong. But still, it's a cop-out answer. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And also, I don't know what
answer did you want?
The answer was Japanese, because you play Japanese like every other game. I don't know that you've ever played Turks, maybe once. So, yeah, Japanese where it's at. All right.
I'm ready when you are. So, say when.
Introduce you. You coming over here to cast with us?
Yeah.
All right. It's Calliope AoE, aka Kalimitar, aka my darling wife.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on screen.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You keep doing what you're doing, but it's great. All right, I'm at the 1 second mark. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to quarterfinal 1 of Noob Cup 3 SummerSlam. 2 opinionated in the teal, playing as the Turks, versus Nico Kitty Cat in the red, playing as the Japanese.
Japanese rule, Turks rule.
So we have both players doing a really solid opening here of getting houses down, making sure they don't get housed. At least the earliest of opening moves is right on the money. I actually think it's interesting, too, opinionated going down with 3 houses. So yeah, all 3 bills, 3 houses. Yeah, good stuff. And then I would suspect that she'll get on to sheep after that. We'll see. Meanwhile, Nico Kitty Cat, 2 houses down, and then moving on to the sheep. Now, what I want to do, Kalimitar, I want to ask you this question. Because you have some experience here that neither I nor Hiram have. Which is, you've played in the Noob Cup. And I want you to take your mind sort of back to that very first quarterfinal battle. And can you maybe describe a little bit of what your feeling was like when that first match started?
First match?
Like the very first match against I-Knights. Yeah, like quarterfinal 1. Yeah, the first battle.
Gotta punch him in the face.
Gotta punch him. But was was it nerve-wracking? Was there anxiety?
A little bit, probably, because I had a lot going on in my life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I mean, I was already been playing, and I just wanted to win.
You wanted to win?
Can you believe it?
What?
Yeah.
Her? Yeah. She's normally just so content to lose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a lie. To those of you who don't know.
Yeah, Kalimitar likes to win. But don't we all? Both players, I gotta highlight this. I'm loving what we're seeing where both players starting out prioritizing food. Nico Kitty Cat going 6 on sheep and then 2 on wood and presumably getting more villagers out on wood. Yep. I wonder if we'll see 6 on sheep, 4 on wood. That would be a classic opening. Telling me that Nico's been studying. Meanwhile, 2 opinionated, 8 on sheep, 8 on food here, now 2 on wood. Both players realizing that some resources are more important than others in the early game.
Also, perhaps realizing that the wood is a little trickier on this map than other ones. They're both going for...
Let's actually take a look at what both players can see. So, 2 opinionated has sort of scouted out her little island corner of this map, sees the mountain. What a fun.
Right.
Meanwhile, yeah, same thing for Nico. Both of them scouted more or less the same. You see their own little base here, and otherwise, they're not sure what's going on.
Out there.
Yeah. Interesting move by 2 opinionated, moving the scout. I think she'll be the first to see her opponent. I am really loving the resource distribution from both of these players. Clearly they've been doing some studying. Okay, now we've got Teal Scout by the town center. Will Nico respond? I don't know that it would work anyway. You gotta love that mining camp. Just perfectly nestled between the gold and the stone.
Perfectly suited, yep.
Yep. World's best mining camp.
You know, of course, that if I were to be in that situation, I would be thrown into an existential crisis because the one truth that is true about me and AoE would then not necessarily be true.
And what is that?
That somehow, don't ask me to explain how or why, but I always end up researching my gold text from my stone camp and my stone text from my gold camp.
Yep.
No matter what I do, it just happens all the time.
It can't work that way if one mining camp serves both purposes, yeah.
Exactly, and so, you know, I don't know whether I would be thrown into an existential crisis or be like, finally, got it right.
Something I've got to spotlight, 2 opinionated, luring in her second boar. Great job.
Doesn't get under the TC, though.
Yeah, I was giving Kalimitar some grief about that the other night. Just so that there's some context there. I was like, this is really good. I was watching a game of hers. I'm like, this is really good, Kalimitar. Just, you want to try to get that boar under the town center, and She was like, "Oh, I can't believe, just tell me I'm doing good."
While we're talking, Nico's luring her own boar. And also didn't get
Fantastic.
it quite under the TC, but still, I love it.
No, I think at this level, this is fantastic work by both players. We're being.
I mean, we said it
facetious.
several times, but it's worth saying again. Back when you and I started competitive,
Yep.
luring the boar
Yep.
was what the pros did.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear from chat. Put in your predictions. Who do you think wins game 1? Just type in. I don't know. You can type in 2 op for the Turk player or Nico for the Japanese player. But I want predictions. Both. This seems like a really close match. So far, we're only 8 minutes in. But I'm thinking this might be the closest match of the tournament thus far.
I mean, right now the players score, and I know score doesn't mean anything. They're within 20 points of each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're going back and forth on the scoreboard. This is great.
Yeah. So I think this one might be a tight one. Now, Too Opinionated on the way up to the feudal age. Too Opinionated on the way up to the feudal age, and it makes me wonder, is there a plan here? 10 on food, 7 on wood. There's no barracks down. We're getting a mining camp instead. So I don't think we're going to see a rush. Like we.
I wonder if we see towers.
That would be. Honestly, that would be insane.
I would love to see towers.
I would be shocked and delighted to actually see tower play.
Japanese player has a lot of wood.
Yeah, Nico is. I'm gonna say Nico's floating a lot of wood. I want to see her translate that wood into maybe some farms.
First up.
Wanting to. I think you want to try to expand that food economy, and of course the boar only lasts so long. The berries only last so long. So we got to see some farms. Nico, however, is the first one to get up a. No, that's not true. Both players getting up barracks. Looks like Two Opinionateds will finish just now, whereas Nico's is about halfway up. So again, Nico has 200 more resources. Well, 100 more resources collected at this point. Good job. And Nico's on the way up to the feudal age. Couple of farms down for Two Opinionated. Now, like I said in the last cast, you want to slowly but surely, where possible, when you have the wood, you want to be adding farms to your town center or your mill, and eventually you want to get anywhere from 15 to 19 farms. I think that's a good way. That's a nice tower. A nice tower to kind of defend the stone and the gold. That's cool. But about 15 to 19 farms in order to really get a nice steady stream of food coming in to try to get to the castle age. But go ahead.
Go ahead. No, after you, go ahead.
I was just going to say now, even as I'm giving that advice, it's not necessarily the case that you want to do nothing but farms. There is a time and a place to instead get out some early aggression, as we see 3 spears being trained here by Two Opinionated. I'm just sharing, I think I have a lot of people who would ask, well, how many farms do I have? And that's
for sure.
Yep.
So I gotta say, it's not the type of tower play that I was expecting, but it is a tower play, and I actually really like this, especially at this level. A tower to cover your stone and gold is huge. Those villagers safe, and it keeps you able to stay on those resources away from raiding, so I love it. The other thing I love about what Two Opinionated is doing here is she's producing her units into her barracks, by which I mean she set the gathering point on the inside so they're not floating around the outside. I didn't expect to see that, but here we are, so I love that.
If you're not going to go on the attack with them, and I don't necessarily think that you should with spearmen, if you're not going on the attack, then I agree with you. The best thing to do is to hide them in your barracks so your opponent doesn't really know what you have or how many you have. And it just puts questions in your opponent.
Yeah. Is that men at arms? Is that 2? Is that 5? 10 maybe?
Now, while we're looking at 2 opinionated here, she's getting down 1 archery range and then 1 stable. I'm gonna guess that this is gonna be kind of a what we saw with I-Knights in the last match, where there's this mix of everything. Let's get some infantry and some archers and some cavalry. And I think what you want to do is to, again, kind of pick a strat and try to maybe play around that. It's good to have all of your options, like the production buildings, but I'm gonna guess we see some scouts and then some archers, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, I'd agree with that prediction, but who knows? You know, who knows?
Who knows, indeed. I find this so fascinating. Again, we're 16 minutes in. The scoreboard is virtually identical.
Oh, I love it. I just love it so much.
And resources collected are like neck and neck. Right now, it's about 200, 300 more for 2 opinionated. Slight advantage there. Doesn't surprise me because she has a 5 villager lead. 2 opinionated has the double bid axe upgrade. Meanwhile, Nico Kitty Cat has the horse collar upgrade. Con15 in chat saying, "Hey yo, nap is done." To which I respond, "Hey yo, welcome to the stream. Good to have you." Con15, one of our Noob Cup competitors. So likely, maybe taking some notes. You should go back and watch the cast that we've had so far. It's been really good. I think we've shared some maybe really good advice on, you know, how you might approach your own battle down the Noob Cup. Just to be clear to the audience, by the way, now that we're in the quarterfinals, this is a best of 3 battle, so we're gonna have at least 2 matches here. But this is for all the marbles, right? So whoever wins here advances on to the semifinals. Whoever loses is out of the tournament. Blacksmith upgrades coming in for 2 opinionated. I love to see it.
And you called it. We've got a little bit of spears, a little bit of cav, a little bit of archer.
Well, to be fair, so the cat, I think that's the starting scout. That's not a.
Oh yeah.
We have yet to see new scouts being produced. Now, some advice for 2 opinionated, because I think she's just sort of maybe clicking. I say clicking everything, but seeing as she's not produced any scouts yet, she hasn't picked up any cavalry decks, which I like. That's a good call.
Yeah, no, agreed.
But just some advice there. If you're going with ranged units, and it looks like archers is maybe your play here, get the attack upgrade first. If you're looking at infantry or cavalry for that matter, get the armor upgrade first. Just the way the game plays out, there's more value because the attack upgrade, 1, it actually gives you extra range, which is really nice too, and then 2, wait.
The Exodus.
The Exodus begins. Yeah.
I think she's run out of wood, and she's probably going to have to use market to balance.
She does not have. Oh, she doesn't want it. Okay. So good idea. Good idea. I wonder if. Interesting that Nico's not in the same situation right now. There's still a decent amount of wood on Nico's island. Huh. Dang, guys, this is.
Oh, I take that back. She placed the foundation, and I just didn't.
Oh, I did. Okay, good.
Go.
Good. Wise. Well done to opinionated.
Smart.
Dang, dude, this match, 20 minutes in, resources collected are nearly identical. What I want to see, so I think currently I would give a slight edge to 2 opinionated, and it's that idle town center time, where Nico has allowed the town center to just sort of snooze for a longer period of time than 2 opinionated. And that means it's not huge, it's only 6 villager difference. But that 6 villager difference has translated into a small resource collection advantage. And I will
not really. If you look at that, it's like about 100 resources total collected difference between the 2.
Well, it's a small delta, but I mean now it's 200. I think that it will grow. I never bet against the player who's got more bills.
Agreed.
Too opinionated on the way up to the castle age. Nico almost there.
I think what it is
Buys the
is
food
Too
and then immediately
Opinionated-
clicks up. Yes.
Boom. Yeah, I think Too Opinionated is better at keeping her TC going, and I think Nico is a little better about her placement of her eco buildings and such.
General Brandito says 2027 we're getting AoE 5 Iron Kaiser. One, I hope you're right. Two, what would AoE 5 even be? And would it be could it dare to match the glory that is Age of Empires 2? I know many who would say no.
You know, I'm actually in a different boat. I would love to get another Age of Empires, so long as it doesn't try to be like Age of Empires 2.
Mhm.
Like, I would love to see a fresh take on the original Age of Empires. That hasn't gotten a lot of love. You know, we got the Rise of Rome expansion, the classic AoE, but doesn't have the same multiplayer culture and support that we have in the.
My dream Age of Empires 5 thematically, I really want to see an AoE 5 that's centered around like anywhere from like at the start, like maybe from the Napoleonic Wars up to like just before World War One, because literally that time period is the end of the Age of Empires, and I think it's a time period that doesn't really get looked at a lot, and there's a lot of awesome history, and it would just be stand out in a really unique way. I mean, I think AoE 1, 2, you know, Age of Empires 5 going down the classical route would be awesome as well. I love that time period too, but I think it's a little more explored. And anyway, that's not even what I guess, but that's what I think anyway. Maybe early imperialism era, says Brandon. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That would be awesome, in my opinion.
Archer's moving forward for Too Opinionated, and she hits castle and immediately plops down another TC.
Meanwhile, Nico hitting castle and immediately plops down a defensive castle, which I love that from both players.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately,
minor tweak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Minor tweak. If I was Nico, I'd probably try to push that castle a more proactive defensive castle, because you're going to run out of resources on this island before too long.
If I were Nico, I wouldn't know what you mean. Could you explain that? What do you mean a proactive castle? A proactive.
So if you look just to the west of where that castle foundation is, you'll see that there's wood, food, stone, and gold right there. And if I'm in that position, and a relic, if I'm in that position, I'm going to be like, I'm going to be putting a town center here really, really soon. And I want a castle in place to cover it. As opposed to where it is right now, it's covering some stone, but it's not actually protecting that gold. You can raid the gold pretty easily, and it's not in a position to provide much in the way of lasting benefit, especially because the resources on the starting island are very limited, and so it's not going to be long before literally everything there, except for the farms, has been mined away, and that castle ceases to be very not worthless. It's just not what it used to be. So if I'm plopping down that castle, I would plop it, several tiles to the west to cover where my base is going to be very soon, not where it is now.
I actually would maybe take the opposite view, where if I'm building a defensive castle, I would much rather move it to the east and actually protect my farms, again, cover the gold, kind of snuggle it in a little bit more into my base, because its purpose is to protect me from raids around my town center and those, that farm gold area. I do agree, though, if you want to kind of claim more of the middle of the territory, you want to claim map control, I think where you've got that castle would be a good idea, too.
I love what Too Opinionated is doing with towers. Towers they're overlooked because they're not castles, right? And they're quote unquote easy to knock down. They're both using towers, by the way. So I love that.
Yeah.
Towers are overlooked because if you build one and then you get attacked by a few scouts and you've got nothing in support, down goes the tower and you're kind of like, why did I even build that thing? Flip side, if you build it in a place where you can kind of defend them a little bit, and you've got some villagers nearby that can pop in and turn that one arrow into 5 or 6, man, towers can really wreck somebody who's trying to raid. Eco looks like she's grabbing a relic. Good for her. Love it.
Yep. Right now, it will Nico make the mistake that so many of us, including myself, all the time make, which is you click the monk on the relic and then you forget about the monk for the next 10 minutes. This is what I do all the time. All the time. And for that matter, will 2 opinionated scout see the monk and actually get a kill here?
Okay.
No.
Oh, so close. I was in the middle of about to say, if Nico steals the relic from right next to the monastery, I will clap out loud. Didn't quite happen.
Oh, the scout! The scout does get the monk kill. Oh my goodness! First blood goes to 2 opinionated. Now, what I want to spotlight, we've been talking a lot about how these two players are neck and neck, right? But once Castle Age hit, here, that gap has started to widen, and I don't think it's exactly neck and neck anymore. And the difference is that Nico opened up with a castle, which I think was a great defensive choice. And if Nico was imminently under attack, this would be an amazing call. But 2 opinionated opened up not with a castle, but with a second town center. And that has meant an explosion in villagers from both town centers. Really nice gameplay. And now we're looking at 61 vills versus 39 vills. Let's just call it 60 versus 40. And that means 3,500 more resources collected for our Turk player.
I love the army size from both players. You know, we're not looking at 3-minute arms. Both of them have an army size of 20 per year. I love that. I remember when I started playing, it's just like, okay, I've got 5 archers. I can do something with that. Ooh, some scout aggression. So Opinionated picks up another kill with that same scout.
Another kill, yep. We're looking at 4 kills so far on the map, all of them from 2 Opinionated. Samurai! Kalimitar, is the samurai not your favorite unit in the game?
I mean, it is, but you don't need, what, 4 of them to take 1 scout down?
Of course you do. You need all the samurai you can possibly get. Cool. I wonder, can you actually, I mean to ask this. Kant says you made it 5 archers, army pre-imperial, what? You made it 5 archers, army pre-imperial age. Army pre-imperial age is scout. Will you tell me, because I think Japanese are one of your favorite civs in the game, will you tell me what about the Japanese is so much fun? Because I'm wondering if Nico Kitty Cat here, as Nico is the first player to go up to the Imperial Age.
Look at that.
By a lot. So we've got this, I think this is a key moment as we hit the 35-minute mark here in the match. This is a key moment. 2 Opinionated has the better economy, bringing in more resources, and if the game is allowed to just drag on, probably wins this. But Nico, going up to the Imperial Age first, there's this window of opportunity where there is a timing advantage, a tech advantage that might come from being in the Imperial Age. And I'm really excited to see what she can do with it. Also, kudos where they belong. Those samurai getting kills and aggression coming in. I think this is the first real attack that we've seen in this game, and it's coming from Nico Kitty Cat. I love that.
Loves the Opinionated has added a couple more towers even since we last talked, and I'm glad for her sake.
Oh, but Murder Holes is in for 2 Opinionated, so those samurai will not be able to whittle away at that tower. Oh, man.
But I started Samurai when I started playing AoE 2 because I could understand what they were saying.
Oh, so it was all about knowing the language and being able and just
What
thinking that
are
that's
they
cool.
saying?
Well, I didn't understand what they were saying or what I told them to do.
What are they saying? Like when a samurai says, I'm trying to remember.
Several different things.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember one of the lines.
Not even specifically with samurai.
Well, click on one, and they'll say them.
Cutting wood.
Hirokirimasu, that's cutting wood. What about ore? Me? That's what it is. Me? Yeah. So I will now have to ask Nico Kitty Cat if the reason she picked Japanese is because she can understand what they're saying.
Screwing up a lot of those players' plans to go with their unique unit is pretty.
That is true. I think a lot of players, when they pick a Civ, it's all about the unique unit. So having the Samurai as the anti-unique unit. In fact, I think we do see that, well, kind of. To opinion, it has a Janissary.
Yeah, they have ranged unique units.
One thing to be aware of for anybody listening, including Noob Cup players. When it comes to gunpowder units, like the Hand Cannoneer or the Janissary, I'm trying to think of some others, but those are the ones that jump to mind. They do not benefit from the Archer attack upgrades because they're not shooting bolts, right? They're not shooting shafts of arrows. But they do benefit from the Archer armor upgrades. So that means if Too Opinionated goes all in on Janissary, then these armor techs will be very, very useful.
You know, Kaiser, you know what I love? I love it so much. One of the things you often don't see at the noob level is people not using monks, because monks are hard. You know what we've seen this game?
Monks, yes.
Another thing people tend not to use because it's hard and it's valuable is Siege. You know what both players have built this game? Siege.
Siege, yes.
I love it. I just love it.
This is really good here. We got a battering ram coming in. One battering ram coming in for Nico, and Too Opinionated's army, mostly archers, means this battering ram will not go down anytime soon. What Too Opinionated may not know is that the villagers actually would do a really good job taking out that battering ram. The archers will get there eventually, but not before that battering ram takes down the house.
And
here comes a counterattack. Here comes counterattack.
Yep.
Okay. Now this is tough because the archers counter the infantry decently well. Oh, the samurai doing work. Doing work. Oh, those archers go down. Nice.
I love it.
Nice. Too Opinionated has loaded up 10 spearmen to produce out of this barracks, but they will not step out into this game because the battering ram will knock down that barracks before anything can be produced. Oh, and the trebuchet out for Nico Kitty Cat. I'm loving the aggression here. This was desperately needed if Nico wants to have a chance of winning this game. And it's really cool to see. Loving the aggression. At the same time, credit where it's due, we see a lot of army being produced by Too Opinionated. 33 army for our Turk player versus 8 for the Japanese. Unfortunately, this battering ram does not have that much longer to live.
No, but it's going to get 2 or 3 buildings before it's trouble.
Oh no. Tell me that this last archery range goes down. Right? There it is. All right.
See, this is where I was talking about that proactively defensive castle.
Mm-hmm.
You have that castle that Nico had built initially, kind of where I had indicated earlier. Number 1, that first attack goes a lot better. Number 2, all of the villagers that Too Opinionated has picked up would still be alive. That's the advantage of building your defensive measures, not necessarily where you are currently, but where you're going to be in 5 minutes.
I want to give a shout out on YouTube to Mago Metzelton Bagautanov.
Oh no!
I am sure I'm.
No!
Oh no! That castle goes down as soon as it was a twinkle in Too Opinionated's mind. It disappears. But I just want to say thank you so much for subscribing. Thanks for joining the Iron Kaiser adventure. I'm sure I'm pronouncing your name wrong, and I apologize. But I really appreciate it.
The trick is when you know you're pronouncing it wrong, pronounce it really, really wrong, so everyone thinks you did it on purpose.
Right. Now the trick is, I think this game is just sort of tottering along at this point. We've got the trebuchets moving forward. They'll do damage, but Nico needs to be able to defend these trebs or they will get melted by the Janissaries, the crossbows.
Or the ram.
Or the ram, there are the 4 rams.
There are rams in there, and if they pop out and drive straight, maybe not now that there's army there, but if those trebs are there by themselves, or even if there's just a couple of guys defending them, a ram knocks down a treb really.
Nice. You know, the one flaw I'm seeing out of 2Opinionated's gameplay here, there we go, as we see the siege moving out. I was gonna say, like, she has so many military units, but at this point they're just sort of, you know, hiding in the barracks and the archery ranges, not really out on the field doing anything. But the exception to that is here with the siege come out to play. Got some crossbows behind this. And the concern that I have, other than the eco, is Nico knows that 2Opinionated is mainly going archers here, right? And Nico's response is to go infantry. And the samurai is really cool. It moves very quickly, so it'll get in range faster than most. But, like, what you want some sort of anti-infantry option that's either like heavily armored knights, heavily armored scouts for that matter, you know, could be an option. Unfortunately, they only have the tier 1 armor upgrade, so they will melt pretty readily.
That's true.
They go down the infantry. A couple of artillery pieces here will fall. But 2Opinionated definitely has a significant advantage here. At this point, I would say she could move forward and begin to end this game.
No, definitely. Especially, she's got the army advantage. She's got the artillery advantage. She doesn't even need to knock down all of these towers. Just one, maybe 2 of them. Give a slice at the homeland.
As we're watching the battle take place here and the Japanese infantry are falling, I want to thank each and every one of you for following along and enjoying us on this awesome first quarterfinal. I'd encourage you guys, if you are not subscribed, if you're not following on Twitch, come on over to Twitch and follow me over there. Go over to YouTube and subscribe over there. We'd love to have you guys join our Iron Kaiser gaming community. Yeah, with a 60-0 lead at this point, the game is definitely 2Opinionated to lose. And I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Airspeed, altitude, and ideas, right? Nico doesn't have a lot of resources anywhere, doesn't have a lot of options, doesn't have a lot of army or the ability to build one. It would be a trick to lose at this point.
Right. I would say I've loved in this first game. And remember, this is a best of 3, so we still have at least one more match to go. But I have loved how Nico's played this. Just some great ideas, great strategy. Maybe the main feedback would just be, A, keep producing vills. So many more villagers are needed. And maybe even, like 2Opinionated is doing here, multiple town centers to get out multiple villagers, right? Boom up that economy. And then the other thing is, again, if your opponent's going archers, I'd say either do like knights with all of their armor upgrades, or go down the route of the anti-archer units like the skirmisher or the mangonel at the siege workshop. And those would be, you know, advices for Nico. 2Opinionated played this really well. Did you see any particular flaws, Hiram, that you
no, you called out the big one already, which is you've got an army, and when you've got the army advantage, use it. Army that's sitting at home is kind of like the military version of an idle villager. You just put the resources into them, but they're not necessarily giving you anything back. That's not to say make sure your army is always attacking. That's a recipe for disaster. But if you've got an army and it's sitting at home, you're not at that moment getting your money's worth out of it. So if you've got the advantage, push it, punch.
All right, so I am loading into game 2 right now.
I am too, and I will let you know when I'm there.
If it actually loads for me, it's stuck thinking about it for a second. I might have to restart it. Let's see.
Yeah. Can we just take a moment in this loading screen interface to appreciate what it used to be and what it is now?
Yeah. I think that
Just to
Capture
say-
Age is maybe like the most important piece of the puzzle for why modern Age of Empires 2 is such a fun game to watch.
No, I'm talking specifically about how these two players decided, hey, let's play a game, and sat down and they just played one. And you and I get together and we go, hey, let's watch that game. And we, for the most part, just watch it. There was a time when that was not the case.
There was a day back in the day. I do remember lugging around, my laptop and a modem or like a router, and having to trudge over to my friend's house if I wanted to play multiplayer AOE. If you try to do it online, and you're trying to finagle 100 different, IP
open ports 447
ports,
through
yes.
4.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I've got game 2 booted up. Let me give Too Opinionated her point. So it's 1-0 right now for Too Opinionated. I'm 8 seconds in. When you're ready.
All right, I'll catch up to you. Give me go.
3, 2, 1. And here we are, game number 2 of our best of 3 series. Quarterfinal number 1. Too Opinionated playing as the Georgians versus Nico Kitty Cat playing as the Khmer. And I find this incredible. Kalimatar. Nico played the Japanese in the last match. And now Nico's playing the Khmer in this match. I don't remember if you did this in your own quarterfinal series. But I know that today, like, your favorite civilizations are the Japanese and the Khmer.
And the Magyar.
And then the Magyar behind it. Yeah, but I'm saying those are like 2 of your favorites. In a very short list of favorites. And it has me wondering, did Nico ask for advice from you? Did Nico like watch and research your games? Or is there just some sort of birds of a feather thing going on where for some reason the Japanese and the Khmer just stand out for both of you? Oh, these are good civs to play.
I'm like, oh, you beat my husband. I'll play them.
Right, because of I Knights in that first Noob Cup series. Yeah, it was the Japanese and the Khmer, so maybe
I want to point this out.
That might be it, yeah.
I want to point this out. Nico's got her town center almost all the way built, and Too Opinionated hasn't even dropped a foundation.
We have got that's an amazing point. So this is a nomad map. You just start with a couple of villagers. You've got to get up a town center somewhere. Nico appears to have immediately realized the nature of this map. Got up a town center immediately. I probably would have put it a little closer to the wood line, but I'm nitpicking over minutia. The point is, she got up the town center right away, which means she should be able to produce. She's not right now, but she should be able to produce villagers as soon as she wants. Meanwhile, Too Opinionated, I think, scouting around, trying to find the perfect spot for the town center. And that means that Nico will have an eco advantage in the early stages of this match.
I don't know if Nico saw this or not, but she can see the foundation that Too Opinionated has placed.
Ooh, wait a minute. That's a good point. Here, hold on. Let's see. So, yeah, Nico can see where Too Opinionated is going. Actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Well, actually, does she know? I don't think she actually knows.
I don't think she necessarily knows, but she could.
Right.
What I'm saying. Whereas, which is one of the advantages of placing early, is by the time you get it up, that square has disappeared.
Yeah, so we're only 4.5 minutes into this game, and Nico has double Too Opinionated's economy. Right? Mm-hmm. So that tells you how powerful it can be to get up a town center quickly. Now, she needs to get all of her villagers moving. I think a decent number of them kind of just chilling.
And on the plus side, to opinionated side, she gets that mule cart, which means getting resources like hunt and other stuff is viable. So we could see that eco gap close.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask, Kalimitar, I want to move back over to you to ask you this. I kind of want you to speak on your opinion of Khmer versus Georgians. Like, why do you like playing Khmer? And then what do you think about going up against the Georgians?
I'm not as familiar with the Georgians. It really depends. The Manaspa were nerfed, right? Not really.
They've been nerfed. General Brandito is saying Nico's learning how to use early economy tactics. Yeah, I just think that Nico is, quicker on the draw, getting that town center down, getting the early eco going. So, I like it. I wonder, as soon as Nico picks up enough wood, I bet you a mill goes down right here by these berries. But anyway.
But I would say I might.
Well, let me ask you. You think you might favor the Georgians? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that the mule cart could be really useful here. That's definitely a possibility. But why do you like the Khmer?
The Khmer, I love the
You love ballista elephants. I like how, you said that you like Japanese because all these other players love their unique units and you want to counter them with the samurai. And then you're like, well, why do you like the Khmer? Well, they have ballista.
It's a raid.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I would say also, it's just nice, especially like when I was starting out, to like, you don't have to drop off food at the town center.
Right, because the farms.
Lazy, wherever you want.
Yeah, and I think that could be really helpful on a nomad map, that you have some of the best farms in the game. We'll see, but I think that could make a big difference. I love that Too Opinionated is using this mule cart. I'm trying to remember if, you start with a free mule cart. Too Opinionated is using it to scout around the map. That's amazing. Just a very smart use of the resources given, because the town center is right by the wood line. You don't need the mule cart for him right now, so better to just look around. Maybe you can find your opponent. That's really nice. Hiram, what do you think about the Georgian Khmer matchup? Let me hear your opinion.
On a closed map, I think that heavily favors the Khmer. On an open map, I think that it favors the Georgians for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Khmer food bonus tends to be that you don't have to build next to center in order to drop off your food. Mm-hmm. What that often means is that people don't necessarily build their farms in a place where they can be defended because, hey, we don't have to bring them all the way. And then that makes them easy to raid. The other thing is the Georgians, between the mule cart, which gets to walk around and pick up all of this hunt without having to build a new building for each of it, means you could, task 5 villagers to just getting deer after deer after deer, stand after stand after stand with very little downtime in between. Saves a lot of resources.
Yep. And
the Khmer don't have something to compete with that. And then you add on stuff like the fortified church. It's a lot safer for raiding. It makes repositioning your eco safer, less vulnerable, that kind of thing. I think the advantage on an open map goes to the Georgians. On a closed map, where you can mass up and just kind of like boom the heck out of your farms with no fear of repercussion, I would give it to the Khmer.
We will see if you are right. One bit of advice I will give Nico. I'm noticing a small thing that we can maybe improve on. What Nico's doing is, with the town center, spawning a villager, and the villager just sort of hangs out by the TC and waits for Nico to give a manual command to that villager. What you can do is select the town center and just like right-click on a tree or something like that. And as soon as the villager comes out, it will immediately get to work on, lumberjacking or whatever. And that way you don't have to constantly go back and give a new command to every villager. It'll just spawn and immediately get to work on something. And I hear you saying, well, I want him to make farms. I don't want, lumberjacks. But then what you can do is whenever you want more farms, you just pull the lumberjack off and build a farm, and that might be a little smoother for you. I don't know. Always shoot first. Yes. I've got to highlight, you know, that advantage that Nico had has kind of switched around, where Too Opinionated. Well, I'll say this: Nico still has more resources collected by a lot. It's like 300 more resources. So there's still an advantage with yellow for now, but Too Opinionated now has the villager lead, 22 vills to 18. That's entirely because of the idle TC time, right? 4 minutes idle TC for yellow, only 14 seconds of idle town center time for Too Opinionated. As Nico Kitty Cat on the way up to the feudal age.
And that's impressive, I've got to say. 2 seconds of idle TC time on a nomad start?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, I really like what Too Opinionated is pulling off here. But I'm wondering, will Nico be able to pull something off with... you were talking about farms in the middle of nowhere. I love that. That is hilarious. So good. Anyway, Nico Kitty Cat, I wonder if she'll be able to do something with this feudal age advantage. Because Too Opinionated will not be far behind. Boar coming in. This is good. Just hunting down the boar. Make sure you're getting in all that food that you can. This is good. This is how you play Nomad. Well done. The moment Too Opinionated had 500 food, tech up. Well done. Okay. The moment of truth is nigh, Khmer. What will you do? One of the things that's fun about the Khmer is that you do not require prerequisite building. So for the Khmer, you don't need a barracks in order to build a stable or an archery range. You don't need a mill in order to build farms or a market, right? I'm wondering what Nico could do is throw down a stable right now, get out 5 scouts, and then just go raid and start picking off Georgian villagers.
Potentially, yeah.
I'll be surprised. I think sometimes that can be dangerous because if the scouts go into the town center, they melt pretty easily to TC fire. But even as I say that, a stable is coming up. And I love that Nico did enough research on her civ pick to know the stable. You know, you don't need the barracks. She did not build a barracks here.
That's another nice thing too.
Which on a nomad map is great.
Which on a nomad map is amazing, yes. Yes.
I've also got to say, you know, Too Opinionated, she has this mule cart. She's using it to explore, which is great. But she's got villagers walking a long way to kill deer. And she's also got another villager down pulling berries right next to a stand of deer. And berries, yeah, and berries are a decent source of food, but they're slow.
Yeah, they're not the fastest in the world. Really, the point of the berries is that it's free food. You don't need to invest, any wood like a farm to collect the resources. Right now, Nico still has a 500 resource lead, and Wheelbarrow is coming in for our Khmer player. I think the only reason Too Opinionated has a scoreboard lead is because she was able to scout with the mule cart.
Yeah,
and that's
she's also
given her
scouting
like,
with a militia.
Yeah, that's true. Where is that militia anyway? Hold on.
Yeah,
So if we go to Too Opinionated sees most of the map, and Nico doesn't. That's the only reason Too Opinionated has a score lead. Otherwise, I think Nico's in the better position in this match.
Yeah, I think it's the same situation we saw in the last game where Too Opinionated is a little more consistent about keeping her TC going and not idling it, and Nico's a little better about her eco positioning and getting the most out of the resources there. And between the two, you can slice a pretty thin line. In this particular case, it's definitely going into Nico's favor.
2 archer ranges and a blacksmith coming up. You know, I gotta give Too Opinionated kudos on this. When we were talking about the Noob Cup earlier, you and I was saying I did not think anybody would play archers. I didn't think archers would be the main choice of a player. But this is now game number 2 of Too Opinionated primarily going archers. And that's really, really cool.
I love archers, man.
And you can even see, like, the idea of, okay, 2 archery ranges and then a blacksmith. There's research and there is strategy that is going into these picks, into the moves being made. I love, 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 love to see it. Nico is on the way up to Castle Age. Oh my goodness! Dude! Will we see early Knights out from our Khmer player? That would be amazing. Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you, Hiram? I want a game 3.
You have my permission this time.
I want a game 3. I really want to see these two. You said you want camels. It's amazing.
The thing that, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. The thing that I love is it's not about winning or losing. It's about the fight in between. You know, if I get into a game myself and I just like curb stomp my opponent, I walk away from that kind of like empty, disappointed, like, oh, is that a win feeling, you know? And I have the same thing when I'm watching players play. Like, I want it to be a fight.
I think undoubtedly this has been the... Now, of course, the others have been best of ones, but this has been the closest series that we've had so far. The night is still young. We're still early on in the tournament, but this has been... The quarterfinal 1 is not disappointing.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Great.
This is amazing. General Brandito on YouTube says, when I play AoE 3 multiplayer, I always shoot first to make your opponent to pressure. Like, I want to put the pressure on my opponent. And he's, of course, exactly right. I mean, that's my question is, who's going to shoot first? Who is going to apply pressure, find damage?
My bet's on the person with 8 military instead of 1.
I mean, maybe, but if we see battle elephants, we see elephants coming out immediately. Yes.
Yes.
And those elephants have at least tier 1 armor. This could be so good. If those elephants move forward, they could trample these archers. They could destroy the archery ranges. And Too Opinionated could be in a lot of trouble here.
Now, 2 elephants is not a lot of elephants.
No, not yet.
Too Opinionated, and Too Opinionated has some spearmen already. Again, so if she upgrades those to pikes before she pops them out to deal with the elephants, maybe. But man, elephants are devastating when your opponent isn't ready to deal with them.
Oh no! The Khmer here were pop capped, so just slower elephants coming out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is you can't afford to have them go slower and slower. I was asking about the Khmer earlier, and like, wait, are battle elephants a part of that? The Elephantos. Yes, there is something deeply fun, and I think they're cute. Elephants, they're fun, they're powerful, and they're kind of cute.
As somebody who has gotten to get up close and personal with both wild and tame elephants, no.
But were they battle elephants? That's the question.
No. Thank God, no.
But maybe you were a monk, you know, and that's why they were, you know.
But I wasn't.
Yeah.
And they were scary.
I have to spotlight that Nico has, I can't say reclaimed the villager lead, but equalized the vill count. So both players here at 31, and the 4 elephants are moving in, attacking the blacksmith. I'd rather kill the archers, go kill the enemy units, and then deal with the... Hopefully she does. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now here come the spears. These spearmen from our Georgian player, they don't have any armor. So let's see who wins this fight. And handily, the elephants mop up. We have one elephant killed.
Yeah, 5 elephants again. Now, as far as a resource investment, that's not nearly as bad as it might look like. Elephants are expensive. But yeah, your spearmen do not get nearly the bonus damage to elephants that a pike does.
Several scouts behind us. If the scouts go in and raid villagers, I might lose my mind. This would be amazing. Okay, all right, we got more archers moving out, and they are going to get trampled by the cavalry. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind over here. This is awesome.
All right, we've got a watchtower coming in. That's probably too little too late.
It's too little too late. The scouts move in. They're going to get a Vil kill here.
Ooh.
This is the first, I want to say killed villager of the game. Two Opinionated did lose a Vil to a boar, but that's the first slain by the enemy villager. This is great. This is how you use scouts.
Exactly.
I'm
Two Opinionated has gotten the pike upgrade, and they're going to be coming out, but look at this.
Yeah.
Got a ram behind it. Cavalry supported by rams. Ooh, this is a hard day.
This is tough. Now, this is the tricky part. If Two Opinionated realizes she can just kill the ram with, villagers, right? If she realizes that, sending the ram to destroy the enemy town center is a bad idea. But if the ram goes for the barracks, that is exactly the right call. You want to shut down this pike production. This is so good. This is so good. And the pikeman is focused on the ram, so that means that the elephant will have a free hand.
Damage.
Oh my goodness. Can we get shout-outs in the chat for the Elefantos? That is so awesome.
Kill.
The pikeman, I take it back. The pikeman resets on the elephant. Elephant goes down. But that barracks will fall.
If one elephant shall fall, probably one more, given their cost, will take its place. Still got 4 elephants on the field, still chasing down 2 archers, but we've got a downed blacksmith, we've got a downed barracks, and if Nico pushes her advantage now, there's not much Two Opinionated can do. She doesn't even have a barracks to build pikes out of anymore.
Nico still has a resource lead. We've got more units on the field, significantly more value for this. And look at, yes, leaving a single elephant to chase the archers while getting the rest back into putting pressure on Two Opinionated. Amazing gameplay.
Look at this. We've got an elephant actually chasing down the archers. Elephants are slow, they say, and they are, no doubt about it. But they're apparently not that slow.
Yep. And, like, Two Opinionated going for a monastery, which I love.
Yes,
this
that
is an amazing anti-elephant option. You start getting off conversions, and all of a sudden, Nico's elephant army is Two Opinionated's elephant army. The problem is that this fortified church is all by itself, right in front of the rams, and all Nico has to do is get those rams to target the monastery.
On the other side, if the rams target the monastery, the villagers should kill it.
This barracks will go down before it even goes. Oh my goodness. No!
Opinionated might not know this. Those villagers could kill both of those rams straight up.
Yep. And the rams move away. No! No! The threat here to the elephant army is the fortified church. It's the barracks. The archers aren't even that. I will say, I do like seeing how much investment's been put into crossbows. It's not the worst decision in the world, but I think shutting down these buildings would be more important. And meanwhile, I want to spotlight, well, we see this action here. So, actually, what do we have? We got the militia still walking around in this place. We have a lot of vills from Two Opinionated that are exposed and could very easily be raided. And I am loving that Nico is still continuing to produce military and keeping the pressure growing and advancing. It's amazing. Little bit of advice, if Nico is the one that advances any further in the tournament. you want to try. You've got look at how much food you have. Keep producing villagers too. Keep growing your economy at the same time. And really, that goes for both of them. They're so fixated on the battle that they've stopped producing their economy.
The Opinionated has a back castle up. She's popping pikes out to deal with those rams and a militia. The militia's not going to do much, but it looks like the initial elephants are going to go down, and that ram is threatening. Oh, it's so close. Because if Two Opinionated pops out 2 monks, gets a conversion off each, then this can tilt very quickly in her favor. If she doesn't, if they don't get the conversions, or it doesn't happen quickly, well, oh no, the monk is out. It wasn't converting, but the elephant spotted
The elephant's
it.
just too quick. Oh my goodness, this monastery will go down. Fervor will come in, but when you don't actually have any monks. Wait a minute. Will we see a conversion?
One. Here we go.
Oh no! Monk goes down, and the monastery. Now these
It's
pikes.
at that moment. Yeah. At that moment, I'm going to say probably.
And the
not
villagers
much
choose
opinion
now
needed.
to attack? Oh no, they're going to attack the elephants, and that is the wrong call. They can melt battering rams, but the elephants will have a field day. The cats, guys, forget the pikes. Shut down these civilian units here.
Yeah, at this point, I think
goodness.
Too Opinionated is in airspeed, altitude, and ideas territory. There's just not much left.
Yeah.
The Hail Mary, pun intended, or double entendre intended, was that monastery. And to her credit, though, she's back building another TC. You know, I don't know how long she can kite it out, but at least she didn't throw in the towel right away. Credit where credit's due. I love to see some tenacity and grit.
One thing to be aware of is that, for everyone to know, town centers shoot more arrows the more villagers are in the TC. So I think they have a maximum garrison capacity of 15. So when you only have 3 villagers, and you can see this elephant really not taking a whole lot of damage here just from the 3 vills, they would probably take more damage. They have 3 pierce armor, so, you know, but they would probably take more damage if all of the vills hopped in. And then definitely Too Opinionated, you know, the advice there is like, if you're going to attack the vills, attack the rams. The rams will fall to the vills, but not the elephants. Now, this is interesting because you're right. Too Opinionated has a second town center, which is great, and that keeps Too Opinionated in the game. But then I'm wondering, will we see a lot of exposed villagers? A lot of, you know, will they just stay right where they're at to be slaughtered? The beautiful thing about the mule cart is it's very easy to relocate your wood line. You just move the mule cart to a different forest. Nico might not even know about it.
Right.
I kind of don't like this castle. What is that castle doing all the way back there? Like, I like the idea of a castle, but...
Yeah, I mean, Manaspa.
Yeah. But if that castle were like, if that castle were nestled right beside the town center, or you know, where the gold was, this might be a different game. More villagers die. A 10 villager lead for Nico Kitty Cat. We are gonna have a game 3, aren't we? We really are.
At this point, I would be surprised if we didn't. Again, kind of in the reverse situation of last game, it's Nico's to lose. You know, she could throw right now, but she'd kind of have to. Bill advantage, mill advantage, tech advantage.
Now again, the advice to give, Nico is sitting on 2,000 food and only 3. Hey, and she's finally getting back onto bills. Yes. Yes. Grow that economy. Try to get to 100 villagers. And really, you can just destroy your opponent economically. Yeah, I'd say Nico's, it's like she's warmed up from game 1. The economy's looking a lot better here.
She's like, where do you need your holes now?
And I think, because Too Opinionated did so well with the economy last time, I think that the Nomad start kind of threw her for a loop. And she's just having a hard time getting that same eco strength going here in game 2. I'm talking about even before she got attacked. Just having a hard time really getting that momentum going like she did in game 1. Now, here's the problem. I'm just gonna say this: if we go to game 3 and Nico Kitty Cat picks Magyar, then I'm gonna know. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I think Kalimitar
It's at that
gives
time.
advice.
Yeah, it's at that time we need to watch Nico and Kalimitar fight, just because,
Right.
you know,
Right. Just
either
mirror
there's
matches.
either there's some backroom dealing going on, or we have the rare opportunity for a mirror match.
Right.
True mirror match.
Slowly but surely, this castle ball. I'm gonna give Too Opinionated credit on something. What I find that a lot of people do, as more battering rams are coming in, dude, she is not letting the pressure fall off. That's fantastic. So much food. Make more villagers. Build more town centers. You have the wood. You have the stone. Build more economy. Build multiple stables, so you can get out multiple
Give
elephants.
me your extra resources.
Yes.
Another back TC for Too Opinionated. I love it. I love it.
That's
If you're gonna
another
rabbit,
town
rabbit.
Too Opinionated just does not want to give up this game.
I love it.
She
I love
has
it.
a fighting spirit within her, and I do love that too. Now, one thing I really want to give Too Opinionated credit on, Too Opinionated lost her first blacksmith, and so often I find that players who lose their first blacksmith, especially in kind of the lower elos and that sort of thing, they don't rebuild blacksmith. It's very easy to forget. But no, like, Too Opinionated remembered and built that second blacksmith. Now, unfortunately, I don't know that she picked up a lot of techs before this one goes down. But still, I think that's really cool. I-Knight's the Gamer in Twitch chat saying, and you were like, oh no, one will use the Khmer. Oh, no one will use the Khmer. Yeah, no, like the Khmer are getting used, and they are getting used really, really well. The opening was so good. Can we just remember how Nico, like, did not build a barrack? So she knew out of the gate, like, I'm gonna skip the barracks, I'm gonna use these civ bonuses to my advantage. And now we see cavalry archers getting massed up. That is so good. So good. Now, the thing that is a little scary. I mean, right now, the population is 60 pop to 40 pop. Nico is almost up to the Imperial Age, and Too Opinionated is not there yet. Not even close. But we see the houses coming up, and if allowed, if Nico just sort of sits back and relaxes, Too Opinionated will absolutely boom back into this game, and that will be a dangerous thing. Because if
Absolutely true.
if game 1 was any indication, Too Opinionated plays the late game very strongly.
Well, and if you look at the closing gap, it's already closing for Vils.
That's true. The
Eco
bill gap's
is good.
closing. The resources collected is, like, that's closing down to only 2,000 resources difference.
And for all of the resources collected, you know, if you're going to float all of the resources you collect, it's not going to do a lot of good. Nico's got to move. You know, at this point, Too Opinionated, if she's allowed the space.
Imp comes in, and Too Opinionated resigns. We have a game 3, boys. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. What an awesome showing. I'm really wanting to praise Nico because, you know, Nico lost game 1. And so there's this weight on you, like, okay, am I, you know, am I just destined to lose this whole thing? You know, it's victory's slipping from my grasp, right? And Nico comes into game 2 just swinging between playing the Nomad start perfectly by getting the town center down immediately, understanding her civ strengths, getting out the right units to get the job done. It's like really putting Too Opinionated on the back foot and making this a really, really exciting series. Wow.
I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. If you want to give me maybe 30 seconds, I'll be right back, and we'll go right into Game 3.
And as I say that, like Too Opinionated deserves her kudos too. There was a lot that she did correctly, including at the time that Nico started the attack. I think Too Opinionated, for a long while anyway, had more villagers, the stronger economy. And if Too Opinionated was allowed to breathe, I think we were going to see a repeat of Game 1. But instead, just Nico threw those punches, threw those jabs, and did not stop jabbing. And that means we're going to a Game 3. This is really exciting. Now, the challenge is, if the next match is more standard, if we're looking at more of an Arabia match or, just a very typical, like you start with the town center and villagers and all that, will Too Opinionated have maybe a better grasp of that economy? Like in Game 1, the economy might get off a little more smoothly, and then we might see a repeat of Game 1? Or will we see that kind of chaos and just the thrown punches that Nico was really able to pull off there? Just good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we're going to pull up game number 3. We got to wait for my buddy Hiram to get back. I want to know, chat, who is more likely to take this series? The problem that I have, my heart is going to be broken. Because, and I'm going to pause right here. Boom, 1 second in. My heart will be broken because somebody, one of these two amazing players who have already made Noob Cup 3 just like the coolest thing ever, one of them is going home. After this match. And we might have, like, at the end of the series, another free-for-all or something like that. There might be a last hurrah for people that didn't advance. But one of these two players will no longer be in the tournament.
I told you I'll play against them. It's gonna be fun.
All right, I am back.
All right, I've loaded up game 3 at 1 second, so when you're ready, let me know and we'll start.
I'm already ready. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. Game number 3 of our first quarterfinal. Nico Kitty Cat in the green, playing as the Huns.
Oh, interesting.
Versus Too Opinionated in the teal, playing as the Britons.
Typical Britons.
Britons, indeed. Well, it makes perfect sense for Too Opinionated's archer play. The Britons are the quintessential archer civ with the faster working ranges, with the greater range on their foot archers. Really, really nice archer civ. So I think it
not
makes
only
sense.
that, Too Opinionated has shown a penchant for getting up multiple TCs, and the Briton TC
that's true.
wood cost bonus
That's true.
comes in really handy when that's what you're doing.
Yep. On the flip side, we both said that the Huns are one of the OP picks for the Noob Cup. Just not having to worry about housing at all is a nice bonus. I gotta say, man, I'm just so tickled pink already at the very first quarterfinal of this tournament going like this. This is what I want to see out of a Noob Cup. I don't know who's going to win. And I was saying to chat earlier, my heart is breaking over here because both of these players are like showing their mettle. They deserve to be here. This is wildly entertaining. And they're both putting on a great performance. One of them is going home after this game. And I don't want that. I don't want them to go home. I want them to fight on. But
I want a game 5.
But
yes,
somebody's getting eliminated here.
Unfortunately, we've got to move from quarters into semis.
Right, exactly. So somebody is going to make a well-deserved trip to the semifinals. Somebody is going home. But whoever it is, I want to say right now, at the top of game 3 here, you both have been amazing. And I could see either one of them moving on to the semis. They both deserve it. I mean, this has just been awesome. This has been really, really, really fun. Okay, so let's analyze a little bit here. We've got Nico in the green playing as the Hans again. You don't have to worry about the housing. It seems... Dude, wait a minute. Now, I don't know if this is going to come into play in this match, but Too Opinionated has such a better map. And you say, well, Kaiser, what are you talking about? Well, all Too Opinionated has to do, you just need a wall right here and wall right here. Just these two little spots, and you have this whole corner of the map that's just shielded off for yourself with this super, super long wood line. It's like a dream situation if you want to play defensively, if you want to play economically. And that has been how Too Opinionated has been playing. Now, we haven't really seen walls used a whole lot by, I don't think, either of these players. But if Too Opinionated goes down that route, the map is really nice for her. Nico could make something happen. You could wall right here and wall right here, but it's a little more open. The gold is forward, so if archers come by, they can kind of shut down these gold piles very easily. Nico doesn't have any gold hiding in the back. If this were a pro game or a, 1800-esque game, undoubtedly Teal has an infinitely better map. But I don't know that our players are really going to be aware of that or be able to use it. And again, I've been surprised before by these two, so we'll see.
Too Opinionated moving farther abroad has found her extra 2 cows way out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
For the Britons, that's kind of important.
We have a situation where, once again, it's kind of an interesting little... Too Opinionated has picked up a small villager lead. Again, the idle TC time, the rhythm is better for Too Opinionated in getting up, getting villagers out, keeping them going. Again, I think part of it is for Nico because she's not using the waypoints. Every single villager she creates, she has to go back and manually task them to some job. And that does make life a lot harder. Did you ever do that when you started playing AoE?
No, I think I watched it enough to know that I could just...
Okay, that makes sense. But I think for most people, though, yeah, that doesn't jump to mind as something you can do, or it's not readily obvious. And so, yeah, I mean, it does... I can definitely understand where that's coming from. And so far, Nico's keeping it to within, like, that minute and a half idle TC time. Only down 2-3 vills. That's not bad, but if this balloons into a 5-10 villager lead for Too Opinionated, that could spell trouble.
I want to point out, too, Nico's built her gold far forward, and I get it. You see those 2 little gold piles, and you're like, oh, look, I can get both of these with 1 camp. And it looks really appealing. And there's an advantage to it, too. That little shallows is the only place you can cross with the land army. So if you wanted to wall that off, you've already got villagers there that can deal with it. Mm-hmm. But if you're worried about raiding, and Nico should be aware of raiding, better to get that gold both closer to your town center and closer to a wood line. If you plop a tower down that can cover both wood and gold, or if you can cover it with just 8 villagers can deal with 3 scouts way better than 3 villagers.
Something that I think, I didn't even realize this until you called it out, is that, the map is split by a single land bridge right here. So all a player would have to do, and I think, like I talked about, how Too Opinionated has a much better sort of defensive base here, it would be wise for Nico to come over and just wall. Just put down walls around this bridge, and all of a sudden, it's a lot easier to defend. Both players.
And while you say that,
go ahead.
Too Opinionated building an outpost. I love seeing this.
Yeah,
because vision is important.
Yep.
So, I'd prefer to see a wall there. Watching the river is all fine and well, but you could just wall it off, and then you don't necessarily have to keep eyes on it. But
I am so intrigued. I'm so intrigued that both players going up to feudal age very quickly. I'm used to Noob Cup players sort of like dawdling until they get to, I don't know, 29, 32, 34 vills, and just sort of meandering their way up to, you know, they're both going to the next age very quickly. And it makes me wonder, you know, like, do they have a plan in mind? Are we going to see either player, both players? Both of them are, well, I was going to say both are on food and wood. Nico has a little bit on gold, but both players are realizing they need to spread out their economy with a focus on food and wood. And I just wonder if we're going to see scout rushes, infantry play. What are you going to do in the feudal age? That's what I want.
Same. I like the dock. There's plenty of fish in this river. So.
Yeah. The dock is a really good pick here, especially because I mean, as the Britons, you're going to have a lot of wood. I think even one or two fishing ships would make a big difference here.
Huge. Archery range forward.
An archery range. That's a really aggressive archery range. You are like right up on Nico's face.
I wonder if Nico can see it. I'm gonna check.
I would be surprised. Let's find out. Nico does not see it. No.
Nope. It's in the black.
Yeah. And
see, I like being aggressive with archers, and especially where she's kind of got a safe map as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I like that forward archery range. I really do. If it were me, I'd be a little worried since Nico got up so fast. I'd be worried that there would be scouts on my face already.
Right.
But you know, being able to put out archers that much closer to your enemy, especially since if you have a decent enough army to hold that shallows, again, it's better to wall. Yeah. But if you have a decent enough army to hold that shallows, that might as well be home.
Now, one thing I do have to point out: Nico hits the feudal age, and the first thing she does is build the blacksmith. I want to ask you a question, Hiram. Assuming that we're talking scouts, I mean, Nico's playing the Huns, so I would assume that cavalry is probably, you know, in her mind. If I get, like, my forging tech, and I get my scale barding armor tech, I get all my blacksmith techs, and I do not have any scouts out, how valuable are those technologies?
Well, if you're halfway up to castle, and you've got enough food and gold to build a bunch of knights right as soon as you get there, they can be pretty valuable.
You make a good point. Nico might be trying to fast castle, but I'm concerned that she won't make it before these Briton archers show up and knock her off of gold.
Granted, although she hasn't gotten those technologies yet, so I don't know if she knows what her play is going to be. Building a stable, so possibly scouts. A little bit hampered, I think. She's still missing two of her cows she hasn't found.
Well, yeah, because they're all the way over there. Oh my goodness.
Of course, two opinionated. Well, two opinionateds were all the way on the other side of her island. So this is a weird seed. I'm just gonna put it that. Both out there right now.
The map for both players. I mean, that's part of what I enjoy about Noob Cup is the maps. You have no idea what you're getting into, and you know, intel and piecing it together, figuring it out in real time. That's part of the fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh no! Oh no! All right, I want to highlight something else here that I think will be very important for our contestants moving on into the tournament. One thing Nico is doing, very common. I'm going to call it a mistake. It doesn't always play out that way, but I think it's a mistake. Is Nico's starting to build farms and is building the farms around the mill. And the reason why I think that's a mistake is actually because we might even see it right here. If Too Opinionated moves forward and attacks, then these mills, these farms, are going to be completely shut down. If instead the farms were built by the town center, and even like in the back part of the town center, then they would be safe and they could keep working even while the attack is taking place. By the way, you did call it. We see 4 fishing ships and a 5th is out for Too Opinionated. And you got to think about these docks like a mini town center. You're kind of producing villagers, or workers anyway, the fishing ships, out of the dock at the same time as your TC is able to do work. And that means together, Too Opinionated has 10 more villagers right now at the 18-minute mark. 10 more bills than Nico Kitty Cat. And therefore, 1,100 more resources collected.
Nico still does not see what Too Opinionated has built. It's all in the black.
Now, the flaw, like, from our bird's eye view, we can tell Nico does not have, I was going to say not have energy military. She does have a couple spears and a couple of scouts and one militia. I think those units would fall very quickly to 5 archers. And here come the archers. Yeah, these guys should crumple.
Especially under tower support.
Right, especially with the tower. I mean, I don't think that's even necessary, but...
No, it's not necessary
can't
at
really
all.
do anything. This scout will come in, actually get some damage on the archers,
Micro! We got micro!
Micro! Yeah. Oh, look at that. Wait. No, run. Ah, down. All right, scout down. The spearman's not long for this world, I'm going to guess. An archery range coming up. That is the right call. Nico needs to get skirmishers out right away. Make them fast. You need those skirms. No, building archers of her own. Which is not the worst pick, but I think
I've got to take a minor disagreement with you. I wouldn't build skirmishers at this point facing the Britons. I mean, I would build some skirmishers. I take that back. What I would build is scouts. Because the gate is open, and if you can move back in and dive Nico, harass, and maybe get them to pull their archer ball back home, 2 or 3 scouts can give you a lot more breathing room than 2 or 3 skirms.
That's an option. You definitely could play it that way. I think part of what I'm looking at is the resources that Nico actually has in the bank right now. And I would rather pick the skirmishers with kind of the mix of wood and food rather than the scouts that are all food. Because...
True, and that's fair. Yeah. On the flip side, and like I said, I'd say 2 or 3 scouts. I wouldn't go for a scout army. But at this point, I would be looking at trying to get up to Castle Age.
Hey, you wanted a scout army. You got a scout army.
Well, let's see if she pulls it.
Is she really... Now, use that blacksmith you built earlier. We need the armor on these scouts in order to shrug off the archer arrows.
I like how Too Opinionated is walking forward a tower. It's not police support. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not Too Opinionated's tower. That's Nico's tower.
Yeah,
I like that tower.
That's a defensive tower. It's a really, really good one. And it will shut down this archer play, I think, at least in the short term. If the tower goes up. If the tower goes up. What I would love to see...
Micro.
The infantry... And that's a lot of spearmen. Oh, these scouts will all die. Oh, this is a repeat of the tragedy from I-Nights earlier. The scouts go down. Oh, this stings. And at this point, we're talking... Oh, Too Opinionated is the first Castle Age. Nico is nowhere near. We've got 16 military to 1, 43 villas to 29. If Nico can pull this off, I'll be shocked and amazed. I think that Nico has played incredibly in the tournament, but right now, Too Opinionated is in just such a commanding
What Nico could
position.
do, if she does it really quickly, what she could do, she could build a market, sell off a bunch of wood, buy the food necessary to tech up, and just try to turtle for a minute.
Yep.
Might be able to level that field. Otherwise, you know, more towers, they're not gonna really help. Can't really building more militia are not gonna help.
Oh no,
Nico
builds the tower just in time for the spirits to show up and say nope. Nope.
Meanwhile, Too Opinionated on 10 fishing ships. I think that's a little overkill for a river like this.
I think so, especially if Nico doesn't... I'm sorry, if Too Opinionated doesn't know how to build fishing traps, then...
Right.
Yeah. A little overkill.
But still, you know...
It's good, though. I'd rather that than... Good counterattack. Good counterattack.
Yeah.
That was a good use of the scout.
It is overkill.
Get in, get the
but
archers, get
overkill
out.
is underrated, as they say.
infantry are the right. That was a good call there. The
And
militia. Militia's the right call against spears, but the problem is that the archers just shoot them down. This is where
Now,
skirmishers would be the perfect pick, because skirmishers again counter both of these unit types.
True, absolutely true. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the skirmisher play. What happens though,
No, I agree with
what
you. I actually agree with your analysis.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And I'm not trying to say that therefore I was right, but I'm just saying now, given what we see on the map, I think skirmishers has to be the only play.
No, it has. Yeah, there's nothing left to do.
Yeah.
What Nico could do, what she should do, is she should plop down 3, maybe 4 archery ranges, because she's got the wood. She's got a lot of wood.
Now
she needs to get the mass on the field.
I need to spotlight this for our Noob Cup contestants who are going to press on in this tournament. What has won? I'm not going to say what has won. The game's not over yet. Nico can still win this. Nico's on the way up to Castle Age. So maybe she starts amassing knights and all of a sudden just sort of overwhelms what Two Opinionated has on the field. I don't know. But if Two Opinionated wins this, then what has won her the game is not the archer play. It's not the aggression. It's not even the dock. Well, it's kind of the dock. What has won her the game is that as all of that was going on and all this pressure was being applied, she was continuing to produce villagers at home from, well, I guess it was 1 TC, the second town center coming up. And like the economy is booming behind this. And it is that economy, that ability to grow your villager mass, that is what makes her a threat and makes me wonder if she might even go all the way in this tournament. Because that's what you need to do in order to win games of Age of Empires.
And I love, we've got a small archer ball out. We've got another 10 archers back behind. If I was Too Opinionated, I would have a little bit more of a killer instinct here. But it's going well enough, and I don't take this to say that you shouldn't have that killer instinct, but like when you've got a slow, steady push, you don't have to overextend to win.
There's a time and a play. Yeah, you don't want to. There's killer instinct, and then there's, I don't know, being sloppy or sort of squeezing too tightly. If you're already winning, you kind of want to keep doing what's working, right?
Just keep doing what you're doing. I like the pike upgrade. Now, even if Nico started putting out knights, there's an answer for that. Crossbows
and even as you say it, we're starting to see knights. And I think knights is the right call here.
Knights is definitely the right call, but it will take some work. Nico would have to put out a decent number of knights to be able to just take the army.
Yeah, the trick is sending knights. Let's say you've got 5 knights, sending them into the 7 pikemen and the crossbows behind that and the monk. That's tough. And unfortunately for Nico, she cannot raid Too Opinionated except by going through this really narrow chokehold.
Right. Now, also, if Nico moves on, or for the other people watching, Nico got pushed off of her initial gold, which I kind of predicted, right? You took that forward gold, and that's hard. She is only just pivoting onto other gold.
Can I shout out, by the way, that you said at the start of this series, I want to see tower play? And what are we seeing from Too Opinionated? But towers.
Towers.
I mean, that's really, really cool. A castle. Dang, man. What is... Oh, no. Oh, no. Wait a minute.
Castle v. Castle.
5 versus 4. Assuming... Yeah, like... Nico has to shut this down.
But she could. If she moved in right now, she could actually kill all of those villagers.
Like, if Teal gets distracted... Don't chase that one.
No,
go deal with the others. Oh, no. And now she's getting into the massive... The Britain army.
That window is shutting.
Yep. The other 4 villagers are allowed to sort of
like an Irishman once told me one time, don't go for the one.
Yes. Yeah, I have no idea what the original context was there, but that would be correct. Don't go for the one. And Too Opinionated, well-earned victory. I don't know. I think I want to give her credit for identifying the features of the map And I think
Yes.
playing around this choke point perfectly, using towers really well, building up an economy that's what won the game right there, guys. We're watching the fights, we're watching the arrows and the swords. It's this right here that won the game. Mr. Junior in chat saying lost by distraction. Yeah, lost by economy. I mean that's really what it is. Nico Kitty Cat, what an amazing performance. Both of you together have made like quarterfinal 1 a delight to watch and cast. This was amazing, but Too Opinionated's economic prowess has just carried the day here. And I know if I were any of the other competitors, I'd be a little concerned about what Too Opinionated could bring to the table. Hiram, what do you think?
Amen to that. This has been, and I'm not just saying that for reasons, but like this has been one of my favorite series to watch of all of the ones we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I love how close it was. I love how back and forth the fights have been.
Mm-hmm.
So players take ye heed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's so funny, and this is like not throwing any shade on any of the other competitors we've seen so far, but the other games we've seen have been these qualifiers among players who have like been in previous Noob Cup, and it's like the series that has been the most amazing has been these two newcomers to the tournament. I just think that is so awesome. Let me click this really quickly. 2-1 to Too Opinionated. How appropriate. Too Opinionated with the 2-1. Very, very well done to you both. Oh my goodness, guys. This
games
has been
to both
a blast.
of you. Yeah, and a personal thank you. I get such joy out of watching stuff like this. I just don't get to see it very often. So thank you to both of you. This has been a joy to me.
This has been a show. Yeah. Both players just played their heart out, and what an awesome.
And it was a fight.
Yes, that is so cool.
I want to see Game 5. Like
I really do. I just boot this up. Best of 5. Let's go. Keep it going. Keep it rolling. Yeah. Both players really strong showings, bringing some awesome strength into the game. I think identifying some areas for improvement too for both. There's room. I'm really curious to see how Too Opinionated grows in skill as we enter into the semis. But man, what an awesome show. Guys, I think that's wrapping it up for this episode of AoE2's Noob Cup 3 SummerSlam. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hiram, thank you for joining me. Kalimitar, thank you for joining me. And I just encourage you guys again, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, all of those good things. You see here, we've got a follower goal. I really would like to get to 100 followers, so trying to get there. We'll see if we make it over the course of the tournament. If you want to contribute to the prize pool too, that is an option as well. Just by
that would be great.
Yeah, those things would both be really cool. Thank you guys so very much for following along. This is yours truly, the Iron Kaiser, signing off. Have an awesome one out there. See you around.